this weekend, President Donald Trump taking several actions that stand poised to dramatically impact the nation's foreign policy and every working American's pocketbooks. Higher prices are imminent on just about everything after President Trump signed an executive order, like we mentioned, imposing tariffs on imports from two of our nation's allies. Canada and Mexico are now planning their own tariffs in retaliation. Some of the president's own party are questioning his move.
It'll be paid for by American consumers. I mean, why would you want to get in a fight with your allies over this?
We may have short-term a little pain, and people understand that.
The president is adding an additional 10% levy on goods from China. So what does this all mean, and how will those here in the Valley be affected? 8 News Now reporter Madison Kimbrough in the community as she spoke with 2 local restaurant owners who say the impact will be heavy.
We got to be very careful how we spend our money. You know, so everything is so high in the last few years.
Christian Foy enjoying a night out eating dinner with his family, a luxury he says may eventually change if inflation continues to rise. This comes after President Trump's latest move imposing tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China.
The tariffs are going to make us very rich and very strong.
The action, which is expected to take effect on Tuesday, includes a 25% tariff on imports from Canada and Mexico and a 10% tariff on imports from China and energy resources from Canada. And while the Trump administration says these tariffs are being put in place to stop the flow of drugs and undocumented immigrants into the U.S., the potential threat this poses to the average American consumer has many in the Valley on edge. Like Oscar Chavilla, who owns Mexican restaurant Bahia Bite on Maryland Parkway.
Sadly, that 25% is going to come up on the prices of my dishes. So, because I can just keep the same prices with the rise on the products coming in. Not only products, everything's going to come up.
And over in the Southwest Valley, John Simmons, owner of Firefly Tapas Restaurant, says he fears that people will cut back on dining altogether due to how expensive it could get, with certain items a must-have on his menu.
We get a lot of our produce from Mexico, and yeah, I'm really concerned. The first thing that comes to mind would be avocados. That's a staple. That's something that goes into a lot of our dishes. And limes and tomatoes.
With the Mexican president and the Canadian prime minister both imposing retaliatory tariffs, the fear now is that a trade war could potentially damage the economies of both those countries and the United States.
Canada, we get a lot of energy from Canada, a lot of manufactured goods. So I think it's going to affect everybody. What inflation does is it makes your money worth less. We are raising all of these tariffs on these countries. There's going to be retaliation. They're going to raise tariffs on us.
Madison Kimbrough, 8 News Now.
Now, as for when these new tariffs could be lifted, the Trump administration offering no specific time frame.